Alright, so now we've cut it out on the bandsaw and it's time for us to start shaping it with a hand file. Do you think we should use a fine file or a coarse file to start? I see I have about 30 or 40 thousandths of an inch here that I have to remove. Now, I've made it so that my part is set up so that the line that I've drawn with my scribing tool is right at the jaw of the vise, so I can't go beyond it by mistake. This is fairly smooth if you guys haven't filed it too many times in the past. You might want to check and make sure. Anyway, I'm going to take my coarse file. We talked about filing before. We have to make sure there's a handle on the file. You guys have read the chapter. We're going to take our file, hold it so it's not this way and not this way, nice and straight. We're going to file our part without filing into this surface. Now for new people, I suggest some people using a file that doesn't have a cutting surface here. That's a lathe file. But your toolkit doesn't have a lathe file, so, well, you're going to have to be very, very careful not to accidentally hit here. Alright, so I'm taking this file, I'm applying a little bit of pressure, I'm using the whole file to remove material until I get very close to the jaws. Once I get very close to the jaws, then I want to switch to a finer file. If I press too hard on this file, it's going to break along these lines. It's going to cut me, probably right here. That's a bad place to cut yourself. Don't put too much pressure on your file, or you're going to hurt yourself. The file card is the cleaner that we talked about earlier when we were filing. We're going to use the bristle section. Now there's a little bit of controversy. Some people prefer to pull, and these stainless bristles pull through the teeth. Some people prefer to push. I don't care which way you do it, as long as you keep your file clean. It doesn't matter. And then there's the non-wire part to finish it off. Now, you can use chalk in here as a lubricant. You don't use a spray lubricant or an oil. If you do, it's going to cause pieces to stick in here. It's called pinning. Please read the chapter on files. How do I know that I'm getting close to the line? I'm getting close to the jaws of the chuck, while I still have material to be removed. I want to take my part out. I want to use a straight edge. I want to check to make sure that I'm still nice and straight. Oh my goodness, I can't see light under this. That's perfect. I'm getting close to my line, and I can see that my line is farther away from my file marks here than it is here. I've got to file more at this side in order to keep my angle of 59 degrees. Draw filing. Then it's time to clean the file. Deburring my part. I want to check to make sure this line is nice and straight. Do you remember how to do that? I think has to do something not sniffing the marker. Do you remember that part? Can you see where I'm not touching? It says I've got to focus on here, and in here is a little bit too low right now. I don't want to take any material away from here. Now if I focus too much on this end, it's going to start to dive. We don't want that to happen either. So we take a few scratches, draw filing, and we're using different areas of the file frequently so that we're not wearing out any one area of the file. We come to this end and we do the same thing. Can you see that it's starting to improve? So we have a lot more surface area here touching and a little bit here. We need to remove from here and here, but not here, right? Oh my goodness, that looks so pretty. I think I would give myself a 9 out of 10 for straight. If you want to take more time, you can get a better mark. Okay, so now I've done this edge, and I've done this edge. And if I look very carefully, I can still see my lines. Now your grade is dependent upon having a 59 degree plus or minus half a degree. We have precision bevel protractors that have a magnifier that we can use in order to determine that it's just right. Another way to do it is to use my specialty tool right here. We had these designed, they're cut out on a laser cutter. This angle here should match, and it does. There it is. 59 degrees without even trying, really. It's just following the lines and paying attention to what you're doing and taking your time. There's not much to it. Next, I want to do this radius here. Filing a radius sounds easy, but if I take my file and I accidentally go too far onto the flat, you can't add more material. So you've got to take more flat off. This flat doesn't have a critical dimension. There's nothing important going on here. What we're looking for is a smooth transition from the rad to the flat and from the flat to the rad. You want it to be nice looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this nice and straight. How did I do that again? Put it in the vise so I can see the line. How do we protect our part so we don't leave marks in it? 1, you can not over tighten. 2, you can use soft aluminum jaws. Making it so I can see this little radius here. If I leave it standing too high out of the vise, it makes a terrible noise. You want to hear it? It's kind of fun. Let's do it. That's harmonics, and it annoys everybody. So what we want to do is make sure that it's in the vise nicely. We want to make sure that we can see what's going on. We want to take our course file. You'll notice that I'm making a rounding motion right now. Every stroke is a forward stroke. There is no backstroking. I want to start at my tip. And I want to slowly blend in to this line here. We want to make sure that this angle here is flat as possible. I take this angle. Oh my goodness, look at that. Does that look all right to you? I think I got a little bit more to go. but it's pretty darn close. I think that's another 8.5 or 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. So if you choose to hand it in now, I'm thinking that this part is worth about 80%, roughly, as it sits, pretty much. But you can work harder and make it nicer. Taking the sharp edges off so my teacher doesn't cut himself, that's important. Blending in that angle that I was talking to you about to make sure that my teacher doesn't see that I might have been a little crooked. Double checking my radius. Oh, I'm done on that one. Now we got to finish this one, and it needs a lot of love. If we look here, you can see the radius it's supposed to be. Oh, it's pretty close. What kind of filing am I doing? I think that's draw filing again, right? Oh my goodness. There's another 8.5 out of 10. That's 85%. I think, I don't know, I'm not happy with 85. I'm gonna work a little more. Alright, so I have a lovely looking part here. Very, very closely matches the laser cut part that was done on a CNC machine. Every hole lines up in the same position. The angle's the same. The radiuses are very, very close. If I was to hand in this project right now, I can expect a little more than 85% perhaps. If I want to take it that extra mile. I do a surface finish on here that prevents it from rusting. It's not just paint, it's polish. I'm going to get some Scotch-Brite or some fine emery. I'm going to use a little bit of water or oil, and I'm going to make it so I can almost see my bald head on here. If it's really polished, you guys are going to get a few bonus marks for finish. It's already a suitable finish. If you were to buy this at Sears or Canadian Tire or Princess Auto, for instance, you'd be happy with the look of it. It'd be all right. But if you want something that's a classy tool, you spend a little extra time on finish. Go to your teacher and learn how to finish it.